guys just saw me less than 24 hours. What do we got? 2 questions, ready, break, Howard. Let's go, man. I really got nothing. We're going to practice, fast practice today out in the heat, and then they're going to be off 3 days, and then we on to Buffalo on Monday. Excited.
What do we know about?
Say it again.
Julian.
He can rush, set a violent edge, a little bit of drop. Football character is good. Excited to get him here to the program, add him to the program.
There was no Tip or Elijah yesterday at practice?
Yeah, Tip will be back out on Monday. Elijah is dealing with a heel. He won't be out. Both of those guys will not be out there today. Tip will be back on Monday. Probably not Elijah.
Do you think Elijah is going to be ready for week 1?
I don't think so. He suffered that in the game. Got a foot heel.
You said he suffered that in the game?
Yeah, that's why he came out.
Can you tell us about Roy Lopez?
Man, awesome dude. When we acquired him last year, ended up starting at nose for us. He's a big part of what we do on defense. He does everything the right way, always a smile on his face. Doesn't get a lot of recognition for the snaps that he plays on defense, which is integral to other guys making plays out there. So love his game. He came off. He got banged yesterday, and I said, "You okay?" He says, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "Rub some dirt on it." He said, "I'll rub some dirt on it." I said, "Don't make me call the ambulance." He's just a great dude, man. He's a great dude. Tough as nails.
You talked a lot about practice squad guys and how they're challenged and all that. What has been your relationship or reaction with a guy like Andre, who has this certain role, accepts it, and all that? What does he bring something special to the locker room too? In addition,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first thing is he's team first guy, always positive, always working on his game. But he has a role for us. There's a reason why he's on a practice squad. He can play on 4th down. He can play 3 spots. He goes in the game, does his job, and plays well. You know what I mean? So there's a reason he's here. I'm glad he's here.
You ever talk to him about just that whole thing where sometimes he doesn't know from week to week, am I up, am I down?
Yeah, those guys, they all know that. You know what I mean? So we communicate with all our guys.
You clearly, and you were just talking about Roy, and wanting to have a certain kind of guy, not just a player, but a guy. I'm curious generally, I'm not looking for names, but have you ever thought you had that guy, and then after you had him for a while, realized he wasn't that guy?
I think everybody's a little bit different, and the situations in each building is different. You know what I mean? The guys that we have right now, happy birthday too, by the way. That's coming up. Did he bring cake today? He should have brought you guys cake. Yeah, that's not winning behavior. It's your birthday, bring somebody cake. I tell our team, because we'll have birthdays, and I'll say, well, the coaches, the staff, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's Sam's birthday. Sam just had a birthday, Seifkes." I said, "Unless you're turning 21 or you're my kid, I really don't give up about your birthday." So I don't know. Fair, huh? That's fair, right? I think that's a really good question, Darren. Why that would happen, I think, is lack of communication with the player about certain things going on, either performance or their role changing, or sometimes just what's going on around them. You know what I mean? And if you leave it up to, well, he'll just kind of figure it out, he can feel some type of way. So I got to do a better job of that this year, and it falls on me first, and then all the coaches. You got to make sure you communicate with the players daily to make sure they know where you stand, where they stand, what their role is. I think communication is huge to not let that happen, because it can happen. You know what I mean? And you can get. I always tell the team and coaches, like it happens with me. Like we want alignment, right? You can get out of alignment, different parts of the day or the week or whatever the case may be, but like somebody's got to snap you back into alignment. You know what I mean? And when I'm talking about the alignment, the train tracks there is team and you. Like if you're outside of those train tracks, that's kind of you or over the team. Like that happens with guys, and that's okay. but you got to get back into alignment as quick as possible. So I think the best tool that we have for that is communication. That's a good question, Darren. Happy birthday.
Speaking of role with Budda, has his role changed at all this year with the changes around him and personnel on all three levels of the defense?
No, I mean, Budda is the leader of the defense in the middle. He runs the show in the back end. He's a violent hitter. He can blitz, he can cover, he tackles. He's a huge communicator for us. He's huge during the week. Nick and myself, we bounce things off of him. What's he seeing for 48 hours before we get back in on a Wednesday? Here's what we're seeing. This is what we're thinking. This is what we want to do. How do you see that? Throughout the week, if we do make a tweak or adjustment, he's in the know about that. We use Budda's brain a lot, and he's going to have a a year.
Week one closing in, is there any other added message to the guys going into the longer?
No, it's today we had a team meeting, and the meetings today, like you can tell that intensity is, you guys talked about it. I'm always on the edge of my seat, but it's picked up. Week one's fastly approaching, and we're going to go to a really hard place to play, a playoff team that's very well coached, and we got to be on it.
Is this much of a 3-day break for the coaching staff?
No. We're going to watch Buffalo.
Jonathan, big picture question, but going into year 2 now, when you look back to when you got here a year and a half ago, how do you kind of assess the growth that this organization has made?
I don't live in the past, Teo, but I would think that we're all on the same page. The people in the building are all convicted on what their role is and how that impacts winning on a day-to-day basis. And we're in alignment.
Are you a believer that week one can kind of show you where a team's at?
No, I think it just shows you, did you do enough to win the game or not, I see where you're going with the question, Josh. What I do kind of believe is, and this I've gotten this from mentors of mine, like the first, you used to be able to split it up into quarters, now it's not. But if you kind of look at the month of September, I think you got that there is a feeling out and a learning process about your team, and the other 31 teams are doing that as well, because you got new people, whether you played your starters or not, who's having these roles, what does that look like? I don't think we'll know our true identity for a little bit of time, you know what I mean? With saying that, we got to do enough to put ourselves in position to win those 4 games, through the first part of the season there. But there's a growth and a learning that needs to continually happen as you get going on in the season, because it is a long season. And do I know who we are right now going to Buffalo? I have a good idea, but I don't know for sure. You know what I mean? So, and we need to see that play out in front of us, But every second counts right now. So,
knowing that you have that feeling out process, is that a big reason why you decided to not go with the start of the
one of, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of reasons that go into that. None of them are right or wrong. It's just kind of what we decided. Everybody does it different ways, and guys, just how I am, like that might not be the case next year. You know what I mean? Or even if we have 3 games or 2 games, like you continually, try to adapt and adjust what's best for the team at hand. And that's the decision I made this year. Not to say that next year it doesn't look significantly different. You know what I mean? I know it looked a little different from the first year, and there was reasons for that. So, but my job is, because you guys will say, oh, well, we weren't ready to play. We got to be ready to play and execute at a high level, But the pros and the cons of how we did things, this is the way that I wanted to go, and this is how we're going.
How much of that identity and finding it out is linked to guys? Because we know how close games are in this league, how many closer in the fourth quarter of getting where guys are going to be playing a lot of football right out of the bat.
Yeah, a lot. And you just said it, Howard. You know what I mean? Like these guys are now they're ready to play that many plays or whatever the case may be. But you never know how a game is. You set up the game plan, the number of snaps, who's rotating in, how many snaps is this guy going to get, special teams. You kind of set it up. But I've never set up a game plan or set up a number of snaps or this or that and it go the way that you think it's going to go. You know what I mean? So you got to in-game adjustment, adapt. That's why one of our core principles as a team is adaptability. Like, they got to be able to handle that. We got to be able to execute. Coaches got to think fast, you know, in a hostile, emotional, loud environment, you know. But you kind of set yourself up. Okay, this is what we're saying. How about this? What about this? What about this? So 33 Strategies of War, read it, Howard, like it's good. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that apply to a football team, truthfully. It's on my desk right now. Like, but, you know, you got to, this weekend, like, that's what I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? Like, okay, first quarter we think it's going to go like this. What if it doesn't go like that? What if it does? What if this guy goes down? You know what I mean? So you try to take yourselves through, at least myself, I'm not very smart, so I try to put myself in that situation before it happens so then I can think and make an adjustment or make a correct decision. But that's the beauty of game day. There's nothing like it.
When you're making those adjustments you have to adapt on game day, how much of it's in real time and how much of it is in halftime and kind of how?
No, I think I always said, like, if you wait till halftime, you're late. You better, if you see something that needs to be adjusted, you do it. You know what I mean? There's no waiting to halftime. You know, the whole halftime adjustment thing, yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of times it comes down to executing fundamentals and technique and being emotionally stable.
Typically in week one, do you see new stuff you've never seen before? Just because
Absolutely.
the opponent has a little loss?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure they're doing some things there that we haven't seen. You know what I mean? They'll have their staples. They'll have their change-ups. They'll have new things. You know what I mean? All the what-ifs, and that's cool. We got the same thing. So that's kind of, you know, the first couple weeks typically, you know. But you always get curveballs every week.
You mentioned the book just now, and then we've talked in the past about Jocko Willink and how you've liked his readings. What is it about that sort of style of reading or help that you gravitate towards?
The book that I'm done reading now is, it gives you kind of a example of war, and then it relates, then it interprets that example, and then it puts it in real time for the normal person right now in 2024. So how I take that, there's a bunch of different chapters, some apply more than others, but how I take that is I put myself in those seats and it's like, okay, like this is what they're talking about, you know, and then you try to relate it to your team and the coaches and the players and all that. I don't know. Maybe I'm messed up, you know. Watch more tape.
Are you planning to have the Tillman scout team award
Yeah,
again?
absolutely. Yeah, I love that. We actually put a little sauce on that too this year, so you'll like what you see.
When you're talking about the challenges that teams can throw at you week one, how do you prepare for something like that when you have no idea what it could be?
Yeah, you got to be able to be adaptable. You know what I mean? And I do believe that, like our coaching style of our whole staff, reasons why these guys were hired, is, you know, you have rules and then you allow them to play free, but within the rules of the structure of the call, you know, or the play. But there's freedom that's given to certain guys that they can make adjustments by what they see. You know what I mean? So we give our guys some freedom, you know what I mean, in real time. We're not in between the white lines, they are. So we got to equip them with tools to use that they can problem solve on their feet, because I guarantee they're not going to see everything at that game. There's going to be new looks, new pressures, new coverages, new plays, new concepts from the offense. Something on special teams is going to be new, but you got to follow your rules and apply them and then play free and fast. So that's kind of our deal as coaches. That's just one way to do it. Other people don't do it, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, they don't give their players that freedom. That works too. But I've seen the way that we do it work, and I feel comfortable with that with the players that we have.
Does that require building a defensive roster that's filled with guys who are intelligent football players?
It does. The whole roster. It does. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.